to Eric's podcast. Dive into conversations about life, family, and business with your host, Eric. Whether you're looking for practical advice, personal stories, or just a little inspiration, Eric's got you covered. Tune in every week to join the journey and get ready to elevate your game. Now, here's your host, Eric.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Eric's podcast. I'm your host, Eric. Today, we're going to be talking about advertising platforms. How do you choose the right advertising platform? We're going to go through this. It's going to be great. It's going to be based off of my own experience in advertising, and let's just jump right into it. So I think the first thing that you need to do when you're looking to choose, when you're ready to advertise your product or your service, your e-commerce store, an article, a video, whatever it is, first thing you need to ask yourself is, what is the primary objective? What do I want to spend money on? Like, what's the purpose of this money that I'm spending on advertising? Most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, it's sales. I want more sales. I want someone to buy my service. I want someone to buy my product, headphones, whatever it is. That is usually primarily what it is. If you're an app and you're trying to, your objective would be a little different. Your objective might be, I want downloads, I want app installs. If you're trying to build your email list so you can then sell to them, well, then the objective would be, I want them to put in their email and give me their email. There's lots of different objectives on all these different platforms, and the process on how you reach them is pretty much the same. You can use these same sales tactics to get the same thing, but choosing the right platform, this is a question that people kind of get stumped on or they make the wrong decision because they might just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do Google AdWords. Well, Google Ads is a search type thing, or if you're wanting to use Google AdWords to advertise on YouTube, well, that's a different type of ad to a different kind of audience. People on YouTube are here to watch whatever they're interested in watching, not necessarily to watch ads. People on search are looking for an answer for their search. And so therefore you can give them an ad, but they're looking for an answer. And it's also based on the prompt. People on social, they're not necessarily looking for an ad. They're looking for their news feed. They're going down the thing. So what you have to have it is you have to have it super engaging, super eye-catching, and so it pulls their attention on what their interest and stuff is. On Facebook, TikTok's the same way. Social media is pretty much the same way. If it's Instagram, it's very similar too. And then you have, I think it's called Tobola, which is essentially articles. It's article advertising. So those ads that you see at the end of an article, because you're scrolling through and you see these ads, that goes through a site called Tobolo. And that's great because most of the people reading an article are like how-tos articles. They're looking to consume information. So if you're wanting to give them a short ad, the way that ad's constructed is for an audience that is looking to consume information and not necessarily looking to buy anything. So you have to structure it, and that's a different type of audience too. So the landing page might be different than, let's say, if you advertise on AdWords using Google Merchant, which is basically people who are looking, they're expecting to land. When they click on this, they're expecting to be directed to the sales page or the product page, and they're not looking to be directed to an article. Versus if you advertised on Tobola, where they're used to reading articles and they're used to the URL that the ad should be directing to should be an article, but it's a sales article, and it should be that because that is what the user is looking for. Similarly on social, let's say, if you click on an ad in social, the ad kind of should already tell you what the landing page is going to be about. If you're scrolling through and it's a news headline, then you're going to click on that thinking you're going to see a news headline or a video. If it is a product, then you're going to click on it and you're going to expect to land on the product. So how do you choose the right platform? You have to define your primary objective, and you have to figure out who is your audience. Who are you selling to? Let's do an example. Let's do an e-commerce store. So I did a headphones e-commerce brand for about 3 years. So let's use that example. So when I first approached it, I went to social media ads, Facebook, and I asked myself, okay, these are cool, slick headphones. They have some features that are not currently available on the market, and then I have some that are. But what I'm going to do is I ask myself, this is just how I normally do it. I ask myself, who would buy these headphones, or what would it take for me to buy these? What would I need to be convinced of? And what I came up with is the majority, the persona are health related, like they're healthy, they're running, like, you see those commercials of people running. So I was like, okay, it could be exercise people. So people interested in exercise, that could be one. What about health magazines and stuff? Maybe some people that are interested in those like exercise magazines. This is to target on Facebook. I chose Facebook. Why did I do that? I chose Facebook because I'm going directly to the person's emotional state versus AdWords where you have to wait for that person to search into that box. Plus, it's a little bit more competitive, whereas on social, it's basically, I can zero it in, but they're not looking for it per se. So my ad can be a lot more driven to something that they're interested in. So what did I come up with? Who buys like mid-range headphones? And then who's likely to kind of jump on a new kind of headphone brand? It's going to be tech people who are interested in tech, the new technology, new things, but they're at the same time, they want to exercise. So what kind of ad am I going to show them? I'm going to show them an ad, a 30-second, it was less than 30-second ad of people running on the beach with my headphones, people diving into the water in a pool with my headphones. And all the while, I'm going to put in big letters the emotional things that go along with that. And maybe some of the features that go along with that, like 30-hour battery life, waterproof, charges 2 minutes, charges 2 hours of audio, stuff like that, and all within 30 seconds. And then in big letters on the end of the thing, I'm going to say 50% off or get yours today or something like that. How did I figure out the persona of the person? I had to take the time to ask and to kind of research. Okay, first of all, what are other headphone brands? Who are they targeting? That's a big one. That tells you a lot. Who are the other ones? What are they targeting? What do their ads look like? Are they techie? Are they like sport-like? What's similar to my product that I can go look and see how they're doing it? Where is these people? Where are the people? Where are they the most likely? Well, Facebook was an easy one because you're dealing with a customer that most likely is scrolling through, looking at like exercise people, following those types of people, learning how to run, learning how to do the push-ups, learning how to work out. And so where are you going to find people who are trying to learn how to work out? Probably YouTube would be one, and then Facebook would be another, because people are on Instagram. At the time, TikTok wasn't super big yet, so a lot of people were still using Instagram. And so people would be on their reels, learning the cool little things, and that's where I would put in my ad, and boom, they would do that. So I chose the platform based off of, after I figured out the persona, where is that persona of people going to be, and then what platform are they most likely going to be on? So another example, LinkedIn advertising. Who's on LinkedIn? Business owners and business people are on LinkedIn. They're ones scrolling through LinkedIn, and it's business, it's B2B business owners. So if you have a service like a SaaS app or something like that, and you want to get businesses to sign up or you want to get in front of them, it makes sense to do it on LinkedIn because that's where the group of people that you're targeting are. Now, LinkedIn's the same way. You have to figure out, are you selling to an executive? Are you selling, like, who is the business? Who's the person who's going to make the decision to actually sign up for this? Is it a health manager? Is it a director of sales? If it's a sales type of thing, you have to figure that out. But you can scroll down and you can create your campaign to go into that. Let's say older audience. Maybe you have some kind of health related thing that you need to sell. Where is an older audience going to be? They're most likely reading articles. And what platform can you use to advertise on those articles? Tobola, I think it's Tobola. I can't pronounce the name. Anyways, that is where you would go, because that is where that older demographic is. They're reading, so therefore your landing page is not going to be a product page. It's going to be another article that you wrote that sells what you're ultimately trying to sell. So that is how you choose a advertising platform. Now, I'll do a video someday going over all of the different analytics and reporting and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's really just a matter of figuring out who your people are, who your persona people are. Write that out in a document. I have on my phone a big document of every project, and I do the exact same thing. I'll go to the bar, I'll get a couple beers, and I will just sit there and I'll think. I'm not asking ChatGPT. You know why? Because in order to prompt ChatGPT and actually get, well, you'll be able to get some ideas. Problem is that you could get really overwhelmed, and what you really need to do is you need to put yourself. You need to do that. You need to really try to put yourself in the mindset of your customer, because you're going to be able to feel what your customer is going to want. And that's very important, because we are not robots. We do not make our decisions like a robot. We make our decisions on logic, but combined with emotion. If you're a business to business and you're selling somebody what you're actually selling is, one, you're not going to have a headache anymore when trying to manage your customer list. So you're not going to be stressed out. This is so easy. It's an extra $30 a month. It's nothing compared to the amount of stress that you have to go through on a daily basis. You're selling emotion. You're not selling features. You're selling how the person's going to feel when they buy your product or they use their service. So that's very important. So you can use ChatGPT to help you come up with like ad hooks and other things once you figure out that emotional part, what your product is actually solving, what's the emotion that you want your users to feel when using your product, and then convey that in the advertising. And so on each platform, it's a little bit different in how you do that. Okay, so let's see. There's other things like considering your budget and testing, optimizing, and stuff like that. But the whole budget thing, at the end of the day, a lot of these platforms do not cost that much. You can get started with $40 or less a day to get started. So I would not let a budget or anything like that take you away. And I'm talking online advertising, guys, right now. I'm not going to use the exact same question of where is your audience. You use that same question to choose any platform. So if you're going to advertise on newspapers, for example, it is the same question. Who's reading a newspaper these days? Who's reading a magazine these days? Who's opening the mail and actually looking at those postcards? Who's doing that? You have to ask yourself, oh yeah, and then you have TV ads. Who's likely to actually pick up the phone and call in or scan the QR code on the ad? Those are questions you have to ask. And the way that you answer those questions is not necessarily going on ChatGPT. It's asking yourself, put yourself in the mind of that person. Ask yourself, if I was 60 years old, am I going to be am I going to be dialing in on that TV over there to buy that thing? Maybe not. But then go ask go just observe what other people are doing. Are your grandparents doing that? What's your dad doing these days? What if you're selling to 20-year-olds? Go hang out with some 20-year-olds. Well, go just observe. You have to observe to get what that is, to try to feel the emotion that you're going to sell. And then you pick the platform, and then how to basically do it. And you can test multiple different platforms if you have the budget to do that, but you still want to approach everything with the same type of persona. Figure out the persona first, figure out what type of person it is from an emotional standpoint. Not necessarily how old, what's the average age group in this area? Nobody cares. Because you're going to figure out those factual information once you start testing the campaign out. You're going to figure out that, okay, between 40 and 60, they respond best to this ad. You're going to find that information out. But maybe between 20 and 25, they respond to a whole different ad set. So if you had just guessed and been like, oh, I'm only going to target the 40 and 60-year-olds, you would have missed out on this other one down here. So you want to test on a broader scale and then slowly go down to what's working for your different ad sets that you're using. That's basically basic optimization of your ad campaign. And we can do another video at some point covering that. But the real thing is that you just have to figure out your persona, figure out the person, ask the questions like, what emotionally, like, okay, what does my customer like? Meaning, do they like skiing? Do they like outdoor sports? Do they like driving around in a car? What kind of magazines do they like? What things are they interested in? Do they buy a lot? Or do they not buy that much? What other questions? It would be, what do they care about? Politically, maybe, what do they care about? Because that could change how you write your ad. Are they married? Are they not married? Ask those questions, and they'll bring you to more of an emotional stance of where you could pretend that they could be. And then what you do is you create a bunch of ad campaigns based around each individual one. So an example would be, going back to my headphones, you would say, I had a different ad. I had the same ad. I had the same 3 ads, but I targeted a different group of people. So I would have the same 3 ads, but the actual advertising set would only be advertising to, say, magazines in the health and fitness. So that ad set was called magazines. Then I would have another one called health and fitness, and that would only have health and fitness in it, the category in Facebook. Then I would have another one that would just target health and fitness plus people who purchase things. So Facebook allows you to target people who have a high purchase frequency. So I would combine those 2 together, and that would be another one. Everything has the same 3 ads in it though, but you'd be targeting different groups. That way you can sort which groups actually are working and which are not working. You just do that for every type of like category you can think of that would match your persona of that person. I would advertise to people who had pets, because pets, they're walking their pet out, and so naturally they're going to need headphones to do that. There would be people, and then eventually I learned that a certain ad group was only iOS. For some reason outperformed incredibly well than people who had Android. So what did I do? I copied that ad set and turned off Android, so only iOS was being advertised to. So that's optimization. That's testing and optimization. But what I did first is I figured out the persona. It gave me a whole big list of what's the person what's the type of person that is going to use these headphones? Not what's the type of person that would buy these headphones, what's the type of person that would use them? The buying is that's how you set up the actual ad. But before you even can sell the actual ad, you have to figure out who would use the product. Because if they're not going to use it, then you're wasting your money on trying to sell to people that aren't even interested or are going to use it to begin with, who don't care about it. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining for this little episode. Hope this was useful. Hope this was helpful. We'll do some more. We'll continue doing these. And if you have any questions, have anything specific that you want me to cover or go over, message me, comment, ask, and I might do a whole episode on just that one thing, or a combination of all of your questions. Anyway, catch you on the flip. Have a good one, guys. Ciao.
Welcome to Eric's podcast. Dive into conversations about life, family, and business with your host, Eric. Whether you're looking for practical advice, personal stories, or just a little inspiration, Eric's got you covered. Tune in every week to join the journey and get ready